Anyway, hi, welcome to it's Tacho Break podcast again, session 2. And once again, I'm Dave, and over there is Mark. You can see him.
Hello, hello.
Hello. All right. Thank you very much for those people who did view. Have a look on YouTube. Uh, yeah, if you want any feedback, give us any feedback. We'd be more than welcome to listen to it. So yeah, great. So this episode, we're actually going to look at about new drivers, and a big part of that obviously is actually getting your license, looking at the costs. What does it actually involve? And then from then on, how do you get a new job? How do you get a first job? And what sort of wages are you looking at? So are we going to balance? Is it actually financially worth paying out for the license if the wage isn't there?
hmm
So that's the sort of thing we're going to look at, and we're going to have a good little chat about it. Because the average cost I looked at is between sort of 2.5 grand and 3 grand for your class one.
Yeah, yeah, class one. I've got a friend
Class
at
two,
I've got a friend at the minute who is taking
you
their
got one of it.
an acquaintance, someone I know. I'll wave at him occasionally, and yeah, he's going for class C, which is the old class two, and he's looking at 2,400. But that's for the week's intensive course, paying for the test as well as his 5 CPC, what do you call them, modules.
What yours or
Yeah,
yeah.
modules, so that he'll be qualified to do it. So I
I've got a quick question on that
go on.
because I remember when I did it privately. Was it? Yeah, so he hasn't paid for the whole class two and class one. He's doing their matches separately
Yes,
because I purchased my class one, and part of that process was I had to do my class two first,
yes.
and then 3 months later I went and did my class one.
That's pretty much the route I went down. He's just doing his class two. I don't know whether he wants to particularly drive class ones. To be fair, he's just more so. He wants the class two. He's never really expressed because class one's a whole different thing as well.
Yeah,
So I think it maybe in a year, 2 years time, once he's got a bit more experience, he might pursue class one. But at the minute, yeah, he just wants. We should probably call it correctly, class C. He's not going for CE, C plus E at the minute.
C plus C, yeah,
Yeah,
plus C, yeah, quite right. Yeah, because I'm just sort of thinking from a financial point of view. If you do your class C and you pay that sort of 2.5 grand, do you then have to pay another 2.5 grand for your class C plus E?
to be fair, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have seen, where you'll get your class C and then you'll see plus E afterwards, and some of them were up to about £5,000, I think. I mean, I did mine 8 years ago now. I did my class C in the January, then my C plus E in the June, and all in all, it probably stood me in about three and a half, £4,000 for both, and that was 8 years ago. When
Yeah,
diesel was a lot
plus the
cheaper.
time you're not at work, you're
Sorry.
not earning. Obviously, you're not earning while you're doing it as well.
Well, yeah, you've got to take a week off work.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, my friend, I think he's going to actually wait to start doing the lessons till after Christmas. He just got his medical done, which is another thing. I don't know whether new drivers realise that you have to get your medical done. It's not as difficult, I think, as I had to recently get my medical redone, and it wasn't a problem. I just went online. There's numerous kind of I don't know what you'd call them businesses that supply HGV medicals for you. I did mine. I think it was just over 50 quid or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I did. It wasn't last year, the year before, something like that. And yeah, just went online. We won't name the company
Yeah,
unless
yeah,
you can part us with some goods or some money or something to make it worth our while. Then we will mention you. But yeah, I know the one you're talking about. You
yeah,
put in your address and they give you a local sort of address to go to.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I know when I did that. And
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think getting your GP isn't going to work just because they're so under pressure. I think they charge like they want like 200 quid or something ridiculous like that, which is
I
ridiculous.
wasn't. I did it the last time before that through the GP, and I don't think it was £200, but it was quite. It was about 100, 120, something like that.
Well,
Just quite
they,
a lot.
yeah, no, I get the impression they price it to keep you away from going to the GP. They don't particularly want you going to the GP for a HGV
No,
medical because they can use their
and don't
time
do
better.
it
No,
because my experience was an absolute nightmare. They had to keep sending it back because he hasn't ticked this or he hadn't signed that.
yeah,
And it ran my eyesight, and he just had no idea
yeah.
what it was.
I mean,
So
as far as I'm concerned, the medical I got done through internet search, it was straightforward. I was in and out, and it was no problems at all. So
yeah, literally two what quarter now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It took longer to fill out the form than it did
Yeah,
to do anything else really.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm coming at it from a point of view. I've got no underlying health issues or anything like that. The only thing that takes is I have to get my eyeglass prescription
Yeah.
printed out. But yeah, that's it, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's got, you got a little bottle or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got underlying health issue that might be an issue, I don't know quite how well the system works with that. But if you're in good health, then it doesn't seem to really be a problem as far as getting the medical done and out of the way.
Yeah, 'cause maybe that's a subject for another day. But yeah, because it was so smooth, how much access do these online, not online, but you booked it online,
Yeah.
medical examiner? How much access do you have permission to give to your doctor's records? And you must have.
No, because
Without heart attacks or stuff like that. If you kept quiet, said, "No, I'm fine."
well, I mean, it relies on you being honest, I guess, because a lot of it is just, have you had, an epileptic fit in the past year or type questions, I suppose there's an element of, yeah, you being honest about it, but is it, I don't know, is it worth the risk lying about something like that and then them finding out later? Because you will lose your license, won't you? Sort of thing.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
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 interesting, interesting. So yeah, if anyone out there listening to it have got the point of view or know a little bit more about it than us, let us know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Always interested to hear.
come in, join in, let us know what your experiences are. Yeah, excellent. So, yeah, Mark, you've done some. You said research about wages and all that sort of thing. Do you want to
Yeah,
talk me
so
through that?
yeah, so just obviously after COVID, well, during COVID, there was a huge what's the word I'm looking for? Lack of drivers. There weren't enough people to drive the lorries, and I pulled up some stats. And this is sorry, Dave didn't realise he was going to have to study homework. So
Oh,
this is a chart from 2021 up until the beginning of this year, and it shows HGV businesses and whether they had any driver vacancies. And as we can see, coming out the back of COVID in the end of 2021, 40% of businesses said they had vacancies. And when we get down to the beginning of this year, that's down to 20%. So that's the vacancy rate has halved as far as HGV's businesses say, which I don't know. I mean, there's despite this, there's still a lack of drivers, and I think if the power of technology, if I get this up, and this shows you the reason why there's so many vacancies. The biggest one.
good at this, isn't you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Professional. So the biggest one, as you can see, is driver retirement. Now it's no secret. Dave is, you know what I mean, getting on a bit. He's a bit decrepit and that. So, you know, yeah. But that's the biggest thing. Is it's an
You
in,
really need to put that in there.
it's
Well,
a it's an industry where you know, it is older people who tend to be in this industry now. And so a lot of the reasons that vacancies are coming up is because drivers are retiring. As you can see, the next one is there's better pay and benefits elsewhere. I mean, I don't know whether that's within transport or logistics or whether it's just something else, working in a warehouse, driving a forklift. I'm not entirely sure. Again, existing drivers leaving the industry is 32%. What else have we got? New drivers not entering into the profession. 13% have said that. Lack of European drivers. It's interesting. So they're reporting vacancies because there's a lack of European drivers. I don't know whether that's reflective of people doing stuff abroad or not. And then the bottom end, we've got the IR35 rule change, which I never really had anything. I don't know if you had any experience of that. I've heard a lot of grumbling about that. I never really understood quite what that was about. I don't know whether you know, Dave.
yeah, basically, a lot of drivers who say aren't employed, like we're employed now.
Okay, so they're not PAYE essentially.
They're not PAYE.
Okay,
So they would go and work for maybe only one or two companies.
okay,
But they're not PAYE. They're invoicing and everything. So
okay,
then they're viewing that as self-employed. However, the taxman does not view that as being self-employed. And this is where
okay,
the regulation of IR35 comes out. Uh, a lot of European drivers were on it because they were based in another country, and
okay.
so it's slightly different.
Yep.
Not sure to what extent, but that was, yeah, and it's very much not so much between you and your employee, because your employee actually, most of them, or the contract or whatever, they were actually quite happy with that because that saved admin work for them. That's why you got paid a bit more, because
Oh, yes.
the admin, I had to do my own POIE, had to do my own records, all that sort of stuff. They
Okay.
don't, they just pay an invoice. That's why you got paid a bit more.
Okay, yeah, I think when I was first starting and I had agency work, I would get jobs where it would say, I don't know, 13.75 an hour, PAYE, or £15, and I forget what they would call it, but it wasn't PAYE essentially.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be the IR35 side of it.
Exactly. And then this is, well,
So
yeah,
so
working for an agency
oh,
and work
oh,
for different companies and working for this, so because they say you've got to have contracts with a certain amount of companies to be registered as self-employed.
okay,
Um, but then our argument comes out to, well, we're responsible for paying our own national insurance, our own tax, and paying for our own expenses. So therefore, we are self-employed,
okay, okay.
and it's all around there. People just. So I came out of it, so because I don't want to be part of it. I don't want the taxman knocking on my door and saying, like, you owe us 30 grand or something like that.
Yeah, I could understand that. I could understand
So
that.
I just go PAYE and then it's done.
Okay.
Done.
Okay.
So I come out of it, but that's the general sort of thing. It goes into a lot more detail, obviously, and I'm sure people out there experienced it and a lot more. But yeah, that's generally
Okay. So,
self-employed or not.
and if I bring up the last table that I got, which is the HGV businesses, on whether they have increased wages of the HGV drivers in the last
Sorry, what?
3 months.
I,
Go on, mate.
I just wanted to clarify that I was talking from a driver's perspective. If I was the IRB 35,
Okay.
and not a driver owner. I own a driver.
Okay. Someone who owns their own unit and runs it
Yeah,
as a, yeah.
and everything else. That's
Okay.
I'm sure that's a completely entirely different thing.
Yeah.
And I think where the issue is, like, we're not on units. You haven't got, capital assets or anything like that because you're just a driver. And I think that's also where it
Okay.
comes in.
Well, I mean that's different anyway because you need an O license, didn't you, as an owner
Yeah,
driver? I think. So
yeah, that's
yeah.
a subject for another day.
Oh, okay. Right. So yeah. So this chart is just showing. Essentially, it's showing whether businesses have increased their wages in the past 3 months, and as we can see, they were desperate for us at the end of 2021, and a lot of companies had increased their wages. And as we get down towards where we are now, we get to see that only 10% of companies have increased their wages in the last 3 months. And I know me and Dave can probably vouch for that. It's that thing that I don't fully understand why the industry is quite like that, but yeah, I think that's one of the things to be aware of as a new driver is it's yeah. I mean, it's not great money for what you're doing. I don't think is the long and short of it. I'm trying to sugarcoat it, but let's be honest, it's not great money for what we're doing. I don't know how you feel about it, Dave.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's very subjective, isn't it, as well, to what someone considers, great money. But I don't consider it a great money. Um,
No, no.
I believe that I've got far less hassle in my current role being a night driver than you do during the day.
Uh,
I deal with very few people.
yeah, yeah. I'd say that's fair. For me, we shouldn't get sort of sidetracked because this is about new drivers. But this is what we want to talk about: is that it's going to depend entirely upon luck. I think, unfortunately, you might get a good company that pays quite well. You're probably not going to get that straight away, having passed your test. You're going to get whatever you can get your foot in the door for experience. So it's probably going to be palletized, or it's going to be long hours, or it's going to be overnights, or it's going to be unsociable
Yeah,
hours.
yeah. I mean, there is a lot. I'm not sure how many people are out there. I'm sure if we're talking to experienced truckers, they know. But if you're looking at new driving, you just joined in, you thought you have a look at this podcast and go through it. There's actually quite a few mini roles for, especially class two and class one.
Yes.
You've got tramping, you've got hub trunking work.
Yep.
You might
Yep.
just do trunking work. You've got international work. You've got national work. You've got palletized goods, which are the day work, day
Yeah.
jobs.
Multi drop. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It it does depend on the type of work you're going to go
Yeah.
for,
And then
and
you've got containers. You've got fridges. You've got
yes.
all
Yeah.
this sort of different roles and different jobs and different skills
Yeah.
as well. So it is quite a variety. And obviously, all of them, because of the nature of the industry, it's the same industry, but the nature of their jobs, their work is slightly different. The patterns can be slightly different. You can't. I I'm just trying not to nutshell all class HGV drivers into one role.
Oh
And
yeah.
there are many
Yeah. Yeah.
different roles and different things,
No.
out
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. So it's getting your foot in the door is going to be the issue, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a
So
new passer.
I've looked at it, and it's something I heard of a little while ago. And I won't mention the company. Um, and they did I had the word, it just went. Apprenticeship, that's it.
Ah, yes.
I just had it in my way, and it just pink on. Yeah, apprenticeship. And I heard that they were offering apprenticeships. Uh, I, it's very difficult to actually go into detail about it, but basically, as you sign up for apprenticeship, you have to have clean license or no more than 3 points. You have to have it for 2 years. That's just a car license.
Oh, okay.
Um, and yeah, obviously, any drinks or non-insurance, they're not going to touch you. They
Yes.
don't want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So pretty much standard driving application job, requirements, criteria. Um, so then you apply for the apprenticeship, you get interviewed. You do go for a drive. Quite a lot of them do go for a drive in the car.
Oh, okay. Oh,
You
okay.
just want to get a sense of your awareness because as
I
you
could,
know, as you heard now, the awareness is and perspective is
yeah, I could see that.
very
I could see that. Yeah.
yeah. So then on that, I'm sure they have interviews and all this sort of stuff, and then you get offered an apprenticeship, and obviously they're paying out for this apprenticeship. So if you leave in a certain amount of time, which does vary from different organisations, amazingly, for the same cost. Yeah. I guess that maybe some of them are actually contracting that licensing bit out. Some of them are doing it in house for their own trainers. I'm guessing it depends on
How many fingers are in the pie is
yeah,
dependent on how much it costs, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how big that pie is, yeah. So yeah, so if you, I didn't actually look. None of them actually said about if you fail, what is the outcome? Is it, but if you don't complete the 4 years, then you have to pay. So I guess that comes
Oh wow.
into it.
Oh okay.
And so, yeah, because there is a limit as you do fail. I mean, we've said about this before. I mean, I was in a guy who's failed to class two, 3 times he took it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he still failed it. So there's got to be an element of that. So yeah, maybe that's something you need to look at. But then you haven't really got any outlay, but you do have to commit to that company for X amount of years.
Yes. Yes.
I personally think it could be if that's the sort of thing. If you are set to, well, I want to be a lorry, I always want to be a lorry driver. My granddad's been a lorry driver, anything. I want to be a lorry driver, I want to do it. I think the apprenticeship is the way to go
Yeah. Yeah.
because they do, they do, their expectations are set at a level in line with your inexperience.
Oh okay.
And they have taken on the responsibility of your apprenticeship to train you up. So they're not going to shove you in a great big double decker and say drive all the way up to Scotland and you've never driven before and go into a really stupid, silly little industrial estate where you've got a blindside reverse,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and all this thing. And so I don't think they're not going to do that. Where you could there is a potential of that happening if you go to a separate company. So I'm a class one driver, so that's fine, yeah, we'll take you on. There you go, there's your truck, there's your keys, go and bog off. And you're thinking, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
panic, because you do panic. You do
Oh
panic.
yeah. Yeah. No. No. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
do.
So I think all of that, I personally think that's a good way if you set on it. If you're not set on it,
Mhm.
then maybe that commitment to the apprenticeship is not the way to go. Maybe you want to get in with a company. And that's the other way. Quite a few companies, when you get in working, they say doing a van driver. Some of the companies will then say, yeah, you serve a year and then we'll look at you doing your class one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a numerous ways of doing it. What I would say with some of these companies, I'm just going purely by my experience, and I won't name the company, obviously. The company that I did my class one with, the guy who actually took me through my class two and class one, the instructors were fantastic. We got on like a house on fire. We
Oh
had a
okay.
white screen. We really did. And the other guy who was training with me, because they're 3-man
Yeah.
cabs, we had a great time. We had a great time. But when I decided for that company, part of that deal was that they would help me find my first job.
Oh okay.
But all that ended up to, I did have a conversation with them, so I won't go into this now, but all that ended up to was they sent me emails with jobs.
Yeah. That's a little disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought, well, I just did that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've then found a company who would take on new drivers, and when I spoke to them, and apart from everything that they did, they said, we will look after you,
Mhm.
but they didn't really. But I had enough now surrounded about me to, if I'm stuck, I've got no problem jumping out of my cab and going and ask a driver. So, mate,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm struggling with this. Could
Yeah.
you help me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they go, new drivers out, and all this sort of thing. I don't care, you can run, but as long as you help me.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
And you start to learn. But Yeah, so there's a number of ways of doing it, but yeah, just to sum up quickly and stop me talking. I think if you're determined to become a class two or class one driver, I think apprenticeship is the way to go because they are going to look after you because they spent the money on you, and they want you to stay and have that longevity out of you and that career out of you.
Yeah, no, that
Uh,
sounds
um,
reasonable enough.
so yeah, I think that's a good way to go. Or you do decide to bite the bullet, spend all that money, get your class two, understand that you may get some really crap jobs to start with just to get your work in, and then you've got to suck it. You will learn from it, and then until you find somewhere where you're actually quite happy, you do enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I think
So
on that note, we will quite take a quick break, and we will be back shortly. We're back, and welcome back to Tacho Break podcast. Before the break, we were talking about new drivers and ways to get your license, and Dave has some more views to add to that. If you'd like to tell us what you've been thinking, Dave.
yeah, it just occurred to me like again, if because we were talking also about painful and the apprenticeships compared to trying to get a job, that sort of thing, and looking at the industry as a long-term thing. Electric trucks and what we touched on in our original podcast,
Oh yes, yeah.
especially around the unmanned trunking,
Hmm.
is because I'm just thinking purely from a sort of 20-year-old or something like that, looking at doing it. Is that with general technology anyway? Because it seems to be really easy for people to sit on the computers and make money, make an income. Don't know if it is or not.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people are doing it.
mm.
So uh, that is that another point that you may need to consider? That is there going to be the industry for? Obviously, I don't think there's going to be palletized work. We're looking at day work, that sort of thing, class two, or maybe more the class one, the trunking jobs that they would actually be able to get at my job, basically.
Um, I,
Come,
I, I, I could see. For me, I don't know. It's still a long way off. I think personally, and with respect to like driving becoming automated, yes, I think eventually it will happen. It will happen, but I can't see it anytime soon. I honestly can't. I mean, it like take a typical night of you driving up. You know, you're using what the 25. You're using the M40. Things go wrong, and computers don't do that well at the moment. As far with having to, if there's a diversion, a closure, they don't do well with these things. Not to mention a lot of the because I know there are warehouses now that run pretty much just operated by robots, essentially robots on sort of pallet trucks and stuff like that. But you'll know what I'm saying. You sometimes you get
yeah, I
you,
do.
you
I'm just thinking
but
from a 20-year-old perspective.
no, but this is what I'm saying. So
Yeah, at 30 years' time, will that be different? Because you're not actually at retirement age then. You're only going to be 50-ish.
I mean I don't see.
Well, is it? I mean, is
Yeah.
it just something to bear about? That's
Oh,
it. Just
absolutely. But then any number of jobs that you don't even think about. I mean, look at if you had told checkout people in Safeways, Sainsbury's, Tesco's 30 years ago that there will be self-service checkouts and people can scan as they go along. It's not like it's a particular problem that's unique to the trucking industry. I don't think automation, as far as that goes. And what I was going to say as well is the places where I have seen all the goods completely automatic, what's the word? automatized or whatever. I don't even know if that's a word. But
Automated.
bear in mind some of the pallets that we deal with day in day out, where they're leaning over to one side and they're not quite a pallet shape because the goods are hanging over. I don't know whether you need a human to be able
What
to
you're
deal
talking
with these
about,
things.
you're talking about that company just north of Horsham that we deliver to, and if they don't come in on a certain type of pallet and they're wrapped in a certain way,
Oh,
they will use them.
I mean any number of companies,
It won't go on their machine.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It was, so I can't see it. If you were a 20-year-old getting in the industry now, I don't see it as being. I think you would be able to make it to retirement, in whatever guise driving becomes. You're still going to be behind the steering wheel driving the goods. I think for
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
20,
I think
30
in many
years to
ways it's
come.
going to be more hub work. It's going to be the night trunk. It's going to be the trunking jobs where you go from hub to hub.
Yeah,
And when you get to the hub, I don't think you have to worry about it reversing all that because you're going to get it's going to get there. A shunter would jump in, park up the unit, come up to the trailer, or just use the unit, and we will reverse it to get it loaded, and then put
yeah,
it back. I don't know, facing the gate,
yeah,
and then press go and jump out quickly.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think that might be about.
Well,
Uh,
I could see that.
so, anyway, yeah, it's just something I thought about to connect to the last one that maybe is something that you may need to consider.
Yeah, yeah. So while we're kind of going down that kind of subject, we were going to discuss. You finally got yourself a job, and the problems that you might come across that you don't really think about. I know a big thing for me when I first started driving is I'd never had any experience of curtain siders. I didn't know how to open a curtain. I didn't know how to use internal straps. Certainly didn't know how to ratchet strap anything. And to a certain extent, these are stuff that you will learn on the job. And hopefully, if you've got a nice crowd of drivers around you, they will help you. They will show you how to open the ratchet curtains, how to get them tight, and stuff like that. And something as simple as pulling the curtain. You learn to pull it off one of the buckles rather than the pole at the front, because it just makes life so much easier. But these are things that you kind of find out on the job, but as far as I know, they're not covered on a test or anything like that. Even stuff like operating tail lifts. All tail lifts. You've got the fold-in ones. You've got the ones that kind of meet up to the back doors, and this is all stuff that I mean, if it's a half decent company, you will get trained on how to do it. But they're equally, if you're taking agency work, you'll just get slung out there, and yeah, away you go. Oh, by the way, it's got a tail lift that you've got to take pallets off of, which happens unfortunately. So the best thing you can do is just make sure before you leave the yard, you know how to use this equipment and stuff, and how much weight the tail lift can take on the back. It's all stuff that you learn as you go, but I don't know, a half decent company with some nice drivers, they will show you this stuff, but equally you're going to come across people who aren't so nice and want to keep that information to themselves, sort of thing, to watch you struggle. But yeah, I don't know what you can do about that, unfortunately.
One thing I
Yeah.
would say on that is you would learn it on your test, and it's something actually I've been guilty of as well of not doing because I thought I knew it, and then when I got to the places, oh crap, that's not worked the way I thought it worked. Yeah, your checks is actually part of your check, especially with some of these, especially if you're not so much on class two. Yeah, but it's well worth the class two. Sometimes you're looking at in some events that you go there and you pressing the buttons and it's not going up, it's not coming down, it's not doing anything. So there usually is a button in the cab that actually turns it on and off.
Yes. Yes. No, that's a very good point, actually, that it is on your walk around checks that your
Yeah.
tail lift is
So
working.
and if it's not working, if you did that and it's not working, then that's the time to go and ask
Yeah.
someone. Yeah. To the and like yeah, the class one, you because they're detached, you have to have an Anderson lead on some of them, on most of them actually.
Yep.
And most of them do they connect that power from the unit to the
Yep.
forklift truck. So yeah, if you do your checks, go through your check system, if it's not if not working, I would say because we're talking about new driver, I would say yeah, just bite the bullet and go and ask.
Yeah.
They may all that sort of thing. Just let them get on with it. It doesn't matter because it's going to save you. If you avoid that and by not asking, you're going to give yourself potentially a really, really bad day.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Uh,
So get through it. Let them grumble as they walk away. And just, yeah. And then you can get on with your day. And you have a straightforward day.
yeah.
Yeah.
E- e-
And
Equally with the tail, sorry, not tail lift, pallet trucks as well now,
yeah.
because you've got electric ones now, which are an absolute, godsend as far as this job goes. No more dragging IBCs or pallets of bricks off just on a manual pump truck. But all the electric pump trucks, pallet trucks I've come across, they've all got their own particular way of working, and so it's worth familiarising yourself with that as well before you get yourself potentially onto the back of a tail lift that's slippery and wet, and you've got 800 kilograms of really tall stuff on a pallet on the back. Yeah, just make sure you know how these things work, and if you're ever at the point where the pallet truck is going to go off the back of the tail lift with the pump truck, just let it go. Yeah, yeah. It's a tough one because it is a natural reaction to be like, I want to, keep a hold of it, sort of thing. But yeah, you'll end up just on one of those fail videos on YouTube or something like that, and potentially seriously hurt. But equally,
People have actually lost their life because of it.
yes, no, they have.
There is.
It
No
is
mucking about. There is.
it is something to be very aware of. Um, you know,
And then I nearly injured myself quite seriously on one of them ones
okay,
because I had an electric pump up truck. It went bang,
okay, never a
and
good
I had
thing.
two more deliveries to do, and I really needed it. Um, so when I got there, it was a container fixed box lorry. It wasn't a coincider, so it had to come off by the tail lift,
Okay.
and they were really big. They were actually what do you call it? Dog food bags.
Oh wow.
Huge, great big paddock, about 7 foot tall, all shrunk over. There's no way my, they're carrying that or moving that with a manual one.
Yeah.
So I said, oh no, we've got electric one. And by Christ, does this thing move?
Some of them
So
do,
much
don't they?
faster than
Some of
what
them
I'm
really
used
do.
to. Yeah, so much faster than what I'm used to. I'm on the back of the tail lift and I'll just put it into reverse to get it. And it's all of a sudden launched at me and my foot's still caught between the flap up of
Oh,
the tail lift
yeah,
and
yeah.
the electric thing. And it really squashed my ankle.
Uh,
Not to the extent of breaking my ankle, but yeah, it swelled up and it hurt a bit
yeah,
for a
enough.
while. But, yeah, yeah. Next time I'm going to do it like that. Yeah, but you haven't always got the space.
No, no, no. That's it.
So,
That's it.
yeah.
So
Go on.
there is yeah, there is a strange. It seems like the ones that fold up underneath tend to be a lot smaller as far as sort of surface area to put your pallet on, which is it's again it's something to be aware of. Well, one of the things I wanted to mention as well is once you have passed and you're going to businesses to offload and stuff like that is talking to forklift drivers and other warehouse people as well. I mean, it's one of those tricky ones where if you're polite and I don't know, just polite and respectful to the forklift driver, no matter how much of a bad day he's having or you're having, sort of thing, it goes a long way to smoothing things out because you're at the mercy of someone tipping you essentially. You can be, and if you get their back up, they just keep you waiting. But you know, we all have bad days and stuff when you're like, just tip me now. You know, I've got 5 minutes. I need to be down the road at whatever job, and you know, you can guarantee that they're going to put you way to the back of the priority queue as far as that goes. So I think that's something that can be overlooked sometimes. You know, just being a bit friendly and nice to the forklift drivers. You know, they might be having just as rubbish a day as you, sort of thing, with a million and one things to do. So yeah, be nice to them, and they're generally nice to you. I find. I don't know about
Yeah,
it.
I think it comes down to I like you, and I think you're absolutely right. The best way to be is to be nice. Is to go, just all right, mate. How you doing? Yeah, and
It goes a long way rather than just turning
yeah,
up like, mate,
you
I've
know,
got two
just got
pallets for
five
you.
minutes for you, mate. When you're ready,
Yeah.
that's it. That's all it takes. Yeah, but there, I do have a line with that.
Okay.
There is a line which, yeah, you
There
know,
is there a line where people cross with you, Dave?
yeah, definitely
Okay.
much.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
definitely much. And as soon as you do, you will know.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, we're all trying to rub
I will
along, aren't
try and
we?
talk. I will try and just. I will give like quite a mate. I do need to get going. There's been another two in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you get me done? And I will, go and ask that sort of question a couple of times, but no more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, yeah, it is a difficult one. I think because I think it's more difficult if you're an agency. Because
Mm,
quite often, forklift drivers can tell instantly if you're an agency driver by the way you're dripping in. You don't know where you're going, or you're a new driver. You don't know where you're going. You haven't got the uniform or anything like that usual guy wears,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So they do have that sort of mentality about it. That
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just pushing back. We get the regular ones done. But saying that is, especially in the way I've seen you deal with forklift drivers and this sort of thing, it's about building that rapport. If you're doing the same runs, you're going to the same places, you're going the same route. It's build that rapport with them. Spend a bit of time actually chatting.
Oh yeah. No. No.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, shit,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you build that rapport up, and we all like to be liked.
It goes. It goes such a long way, doesn't it? It goes such a long way.
If you're the one-off sort of one, it can be difficult. But yeah, and there's something generally better attitude to go and go in there and be nice and
Yeah.
chatty and everything else.
I mean,
Uh,
even if it's like not being nice, just be, you know, bear in mind you're a professional driver, you know, and part of being professional is, you know, dealing with how would the job description put it? Liaising with depot staff. That's what they're meaning, isn't it? You know, don't rub the
yeah,
forklift driver the wrong way. Don't rub the yardman the wrong way, sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I would
A
put it.
lot
Yeah,
of places have, because a lot of people have, a lot of trucks have. You go into there's a lot of places there is that mark of respect. They do expect a level of respect from you, and the communication. The probably amount of times I go into places that swearing will not be tolerated, abusive language will not be tolerated. They've been put up there for a reason.
yeah, I think that's more. You know,
It's
you can swear as much as you want, but they don't want it directed at members of staff. I think really is telling.
it's building that rapport up.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's so I think that's very important. That I think the key message I think I would like to get out there, and I think something that you said, Mark, is that you are a professional driver. So let's project that on.
yeah,
I think the company that you're working with, whether temporary or long term, would want you to do that as well.
yeah, yeah,
And I think if you do really get in a stuck, then talk to your company, talk to your manager. And that's also about being professional as well.
yeah,
You're not going to get into the head banging bit. You talk to your manager and say, "Look, this is the situation I've got. This is what I've done. I'm not getting any joy. and let them take it from there. That's why you're a manager.
Yeah. Well, that's what, I think those are very sound advice as far as that goes. And we're moving towards the end of this episode, I think. So we thought we would wrap up on a positive rather than being kind of negative about it. Because at the end of the day, it's both a job that we've both done for a long time, and clearly we both still enjoy it because we're still doing it. So we were just going to go through some of the reasons why we actually like driving lorries. So I don't know if you want to pipe up with a couple of suggestions on why you still enjoy, despite all the frustrations, why you still enjoy driving, Dave.
Yeah, if you're talking about frustrations, I think you're going to get in any job.
Yes.
I've been,
Yes.
in my years, I've been in a few other jobs that can be the same, if not more frustrating. I mean, let's just take last week, for example. I had one really bad night last week, which was really frustrating and annoying because I wasn't at fault. There's nothing else I could do, which I personally find it more frustrating
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's nothing I could have done to resolve it. Uh, and so that was one night out of the other four, and the other four, I actually just ran smoothly. It was fine.
Hmm.
And I was able to build up or chat to some other guys. And, I enjoyed, for me, for very personal,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I do it, because I don't interact socially that well.
Okay. Okay.
And I can actually hear my wife sniggering downstairs. I I do really struggle on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, oh yeah, I mean, even my son was telling me, so you just enjoy life. You could be afford to be a hermit. I said, yeah, I would. So I do struggle socially, and that's a big thing of that driving.
Hmm.
Why I enjoy the driving for me because I don't mind the solitude. If you're doing night trunks, you could be on the road basically driving, not seeing them for a good 7 to 8 hours in a day.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, and you've got to be happy in your own skin. And for me, that's what I actually really enjoy.
No. No. Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
I enjoy that part. Yeah.
No.
And I enjoy driving a big ass truck, which is much bigger than everyone else on the road.
Do you know what? We can sit here and we can wax lyrical about various things, but it comes down to I am a 5-year-old boy and I'm driving a big lorry. That's what it's about, isn't it? At the end of the day, we could talk about anything else, but yeah, I'm 5 and I'm driving a
You
big
and your
lorry.
many old men.
Yeah, so I mean, I would just add that yeah, I just enjoy driving. I don't know what it is. I enjoy the freedom of being out and about. I like the fact that the view out of my office window is constantly changing. Um, there's times. I mean, not so much this time of year, Dave, but come the summertime when you're driving back and it's the sun's coming up. There's nothing on the road. You've got the radio on playing. I don't know whatever you're listening to. Miley Cyrus or whatever it is you're into, and that mate, just coming up. And it's yeah, it's great. It's a wonderful thing.
Let me give you a mental picture of once. Right. It was actually many, many years ago. Coming down M40 southbound overnight. I had been away. I can't remember where I'd actually been. I mean, somewhere. And it was not. And so it was coming up dawn. And it was in the middle of the summer. So it was about 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, 3, 4, something like that. Coming up, and I'm coming up to that Stocking Church, Princess Risborough
Oh
Hill.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And the sun's just coming up.
Mm.
And I'm just coming up to it, and you've got all the fields, and you have all the shadows, all the
Yeah,
silhouettes, and everything.
yeah, yeah.
And this is absolutely beautiful,
Yeah.
gorgeous. There wasn't that many people about, so I didn't have to concentrate so much. I wasn't in traffic, so I was able just to enjoy. And to me, that was brilliant. I absolutely just felt at peace. I think at peace
Yeah.
and happy, content. And just the sun coming up with all those hills and shadows everywhere. It was
Oh yeah.
absolutely good.
No, no,
Lovely.
yeah, no. I know exactly the way the mist will hang over fields, sort of
Oh
thing,
God,
in the
yeah.
early morning, sort of thing.
Yeah, on the A40, we got the A40, come off the M25 and the A40, A41, sorry. going up the A41, and it's like that, and it's a really quite nice road. Uh, and every time you come up to the top of the hill, you can see all this pine forest. There's all
Oh yeah,
forest
yeah, yeah,
and all this mist, and then you go down this mist and you come back up again, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's like something you see in the movie. It's like,
yeah.
this is great.
I mean, that's this is the thing, isn't it? That for all the moaning and belly aching we do about the job, I think we both, enjoy it fundamentally, which is why we still do it, despite the numerous problems and issues that we kind of point out and go through. But if you enjoy something, then yeah, enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
make the most of it, I think.
It's just getting out, yeah, it's just getting out in the road. Once you get out in the road,
Yeah.
which on most of them, not so much if you're doing palletising, just sort of say, have a good think about what sort of road you're getting into.
Hmm.
See what you, if you want to make sure you're home every sort of night, then maybe palletised goods is the way to go. If you're, and you say, well, actually, I enjoy a driving, so maybe trunking is your thing to do, or European stuff, container work, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, have a good think about what you enjoy, and I think there's nothing better to once I'm out on the road.
Yeah.
I just
You,
this is it.
yeah.
I'm quite happy. I'm content. I'm in my own little bubble, my own little world, and I'm quite happy.
Doesn't get any better, mate. And on that note, I think we will start to wrap it up. So
Yeah,
I think Dave's got what we're looking into for our next episode.
I did, and then I forgot. I
Oh,
wrote
okay.
it down.
I love how professional and organised we are.
Oh, wait. Oh, I just I'm right there, right there somewhere, or maybe over there. I can't really remember where it is, but I think like sort of natural progression. So you've got a new driver, but you had a look at the electric trucks and all that sort of thing,
Hmm.
and we discussed today about getting a new driver and this sort of stuff. So maybe we should go more in depth as well, looking for about actually looking at the life of the driver. So if you can take it in two ways, looking at palletized, day-to-day driver,
Oh, okay.
doing
Yeah.
10 to 12 hours. What sort of life does that actually incorporate, and your social life, or your long distance one, international driving. That's because that's a completely different ball game altogether.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sort of things you could experience, the good and the bad,
Okay.
because there is good stuff, and it's extended on what we've just been saying about what we've been enjoying really.
Hmm.
And different problems you get there, especially if you do international. Now it's all changed again because of Brexit, so all the paperwork and all the customs format is all changed.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't changed. It's actually gone back to where it originally was. But I know there's the people a certain age that won't remember that.
No.
So yeah, how to go through, and just looking at international driving and national driving. So and there are other drivers that were saying, just going in to look at it. I think we go more into the different roles rather than just talking about it like we have just touched on it. To look at what a trunker role is and how is that compared to someone doing pelletized goods.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I think that gives us a good basis to end on. So we will call that a day. We hope you enjoyed this. As always, if you would like to subscribe, like, or comment on the video, please feel free. We would love to get some feedback and know if there's any particular issues you would like us to cover. We're always looking for engagement from the community. So I think from me, I will say bye for now. And
Yeah. See ya. Take care. And if you are driving, because it is getting up to that horrible winter roads conditions where it's all wet. If it's not wet, it's going to be icy or it's going to be damn freezing. So yeah, just take it easy. Just look after yourself.
yeah, yeah, I reckon that. Right, bye for now. Bye.
Cheers.